Her moans echoed against the concrete walls of an apartment I never knew existed. I was standing outside, across the street, frozen in disbelief, staring through the sheer curtains of a second-story window as the silhouette of my wife danced under the touch of another man. I had followed her. After weeks of half-truths and empty gazes, I finally gave in to my suspicions. That was when I saw her slip out of her Lexus, dressed in her favorite black lace dress, the one she had told me she had donated, the same one she wore on our 5th anniversary. I watched her punch in a code on the security pad of a building I had never been to. She walked in with purpose, comfortable, like it was home, and there, within 30 minutes, I watched the man arrive. Tall, confident, arms that looked too familiar around her waist. They kissed like they had known each other for years, and when the lights dimmed and the curtains fluttered back into place, my heart did not just break, it detonated. Before I dive any deeper into this nightmare, I want to say thank you to every one of you watching right now. To all my returning viewers who keep showing up for these real, raw stories. Thank you from the depths of my heart. And if you are new here or watching without subscribing, I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support is the fuel and energy that powers this channel and keeps me going strong through stories like this. Make sure you engage in the comments after this episode. Tell me what you would have done in my shoes. Because trust me, this one took me to a place I never imagined I would go. Now let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Matthew Coleman. I am 38 years old, born and raised in Tacoma, Washington, but I live in Seattle now. I have spent the last 11 years married to a woman I once considered the definition of beauty, grace, and loyalty. Carla Coleman. 36, free-spirited, warm, and brilliant with colors and space. She was an interior designer who could turn a hole in the wall into something you would see on the cover of a magazine. We met at a holiday mixer downtown. She spilled red wine on my white shirt, and I told her she owed me a drink. That turned into dinner, then dates, then months of falling into something I believed was rare. We had dreams, matching travel journals, vision boards for our future home in Montana, and names picked out for children we never had. To the world, we were the couple people wanted to be, smiling at barbecues, holding hands at church, swapping kisses in grocery store aisles like teenagers. But inside our walls, something had started to rot. I had been too busy building a corporate career to notice the shift. My work in consultancy had me flying around the country. I assumed Carla's independence was a blessing. She always told me she liked her space, her freedom. I never thought much of it. Until she stopped looking at me the way she used to. Until the nights grew longer and the intimacy vanished. Until she started changing her phone password every few weeks. She began canceling dinner plans with vague excuses, client emergencies, headaches, or deadlines. Her laugh became distant. Her eyes never stayed on mine for more than a few seconds. I asked once lightly if she was okay. She smiled and said she was just tired. I asked again more firmly. She snapped and accused me of being controlling. That was the first time I slept on the couch since we got married. I should have known. But love makes you slow. It was a random Tuesday afternoon. I was eating lunch in my office, checking emails when I got a transaction alert on our joint savings account. A withdrawal of $1,250. The location, Rainier Vista Lofts. The name meant nothing to me, but the amount, too large for groceries and too low for a professional expense. I Googled the address. It was a boutique apartment complex. High-end, discreet, monthly rent, exactly $2,500. A chill ran through me like a cold needle down my spine. I told myself maybe she was helping a friend. Maybe she was designing a space for a client and used our account by accident. I called her. She did not pick up. I texted her. Hey babe, just saw a charge from Rainier Vista. Is that one of your projects? She replied after 30 minutes. Oh yes, sorry. Using it for a client's mock-up. But something felt off. She never dipped into that account without asking. And she certainly never forgot to mention projects before. I waited. I started observing her schedule. And then one Thursday night, She told me she had a late dinner meeting with a client at a restaurant near Capitol Hill. I waited 10 minutes after she left and followed from a distance. She did not go toward Capitol Hill. She drove past it, straight to Rainier Vista Lofts. I parked on the opposite street, behind some parked vans. I watched her walk in.
No gesetaschen. No GPS.
She knew the way. She had a key code. She lived there, or someone lived there with her. It was exactly 7:49 p.m. when I saw him. Tall, chocolate skin, well-groomed beard, fit frame. He stepped out of a blue Porsche SUV and walked casually toward the same building. He did not look like a stranger. He looked like a man who belonged. He rang the bell. She answered. He walked in. 10 minutes later, the lights went low. I stood there, breathing through clenched teeth, my jaw locked, my hands trembling. Every memory of our years together began to unspool like a broken cassette. Every kiss, every promise, every anniversary dinner. She was not just cheating. She had built a second life. I went home that night and stared at the wall until morning. I did not cry. Not yet. I opened our wedding album. I looked at her smile. I remembered the vows she wrote with her own hands. And then I opened a new folder on my laptop. I named it Proof. Because the next time she walked through our front door with that soft, innocent smile on her lips, I would already know everything. And by the time I was done with her, she would wish she had never lied to the man who gave her everything. The next morning, Carla stood in the kitchen, sipping her oat milk latte like nothing happened. She greeted me with the same casual good morning, babe, she had used for years. Her robe hung loosely on her shoulders. Her hair was still damp from the shower. The same woman I watched in another man's arms less than 12 hours ago. I looked at her like a stranger, but I said nothing, because now, I wanted to know how far it went, how deep the lies ran, and how long she had been preparing this second life beneath our shared roof. That morning marked the beginning of my silent investigation. And once I started digging, there was no going back. I had a friend, Jackson, who worked in private security. Years ago, I helped him out of a messy contract dispute, so I gave him a call. I did not give him details, just told him I needed microcameras and remote access software discreetly installed. By that Saturday, I had hidden 2 cameras, one inside the dashboard of Carla's car, and another inside the Rainier Vista loft. Getting in was easier than expected. She left the apartment keys carelessly in her art supply drawer one morning while rushing out. I made a copy, returned them before she got back, and waited until I knew she would be out shopping with her friends. Within 3 hours, I had full surveillance. I watched her loft like a hawk. The apartment was not just a love nest. It was a full reflection of her soul. Plants, art pieces, incense burners, candles, journals. Journals. That was where everything began to fall apart. On her desk, she had 2 leather-bound notebooks. In them were entries she had written for almost a year. I read through them during one of her afternoon absences, sitting in her sacred space like a ghost. In one entry dated over 7 months ago, she wrote, "His name is Andre. I met him at a conference in Portland. I was just supposed to design a room in his hotel chain. But something about him drew me in. He listened. He did not judge. He made me feel like a woman again." She continued, "I feel guilty sometimes. But Matt is always so far away. Always busy. I feel invisible in my own house.
Andre seesme.
Touches me like I matter. I need this escape. I need this apartment. This is the only place where I breathe." It hit me like a wrecking ball. I had thought I was being a provider. She had seen me as a ghost. With the name now confirmed, I looked into Andre Miller. 42 years old. Divorced twice. CEO of a boutique real estate group based in Portland, expanding into Seattle. Photos of him speaking at conferences. Handsome, articulate, charismatic. The type women are drawn to without effort. He had no children, no criminal record. But there was a pattern, rumors of affairs with married women. Nothing concrete, just whispers in industry forums and comments on Reddit. I called one of his ex-partners pretending to be a potential business partner. A woman named Sadie told me bluntly, "Andre is charming, but he burns every bridge he crosses, especially when women are involved." The dots connected easily now. Carla was just another canvas for him to decorate temporarily before moving on. But I was not going to allow her to become another ghost in his gallery. I monitored her closely. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sunday afternoons. That was their pattern. She would visit Andre at the loft, spend hours there, sometimes overnight when she said she was traveling for work. She had built a separate existence. One night, she even hosted a dinner for him. I watched through the cameras as she lit candles, wore red lipstick, and played jazz music. They danced in the living room. She giggled like she used to with me. The sight gutted me, yet I kept watching. Because I was no longer a husband. I was a hunter now, and hunters wait. One evening, she came home late. I asked her how the client pitch went. She smiled and kissed me on the forehead. It was the same mouth she had just used to moan his name hours earlier. The rage in me boiled, but I smiled back. She poured herself a glass of red wine and curled beside me on the couch, watching television like nothing was wrong. I stared straight ahead, but inside, my blood was screaming. This was not just betrayal. This was theater. This was her performance. I decided then that I would let her continue the act. But I would be the one to write the ending. Weeks passed. I gathered footage, screenshots, bank statements, journal entries. But then I found something I had not prepared myself for. Inside a locked drawer. One she foolishly left her spare key to inside her makeup pouch. I found a folder marked private. Inside were ultrasound scans. At first I thought they were old. Maybe she had been pregnant once and never told me. But the dates were recent. Only 4 months ago. Then I saw the name printed on the corner of the document. Patient, Carla Coleman. Obstetrician, Dr. Maynard Lewis. Estimated due date, January 4th. The floor beneath my feet disappeared. I sat down, stunned, breathing in slow gasps. She had been pregnant. She had hidden it from me. And judging by her journal entry a few pages later, the child was not mine. I cried after the appointment. Andre said he would support me no matter what. But I am scared. I do not want to lose Matt yet. I do not know what I want. But I cannot kill it. I just cannot. I leaned back in the chair and stared at the ceiling. I did not know whether to scream, cry, or vanish. I now had more than enough evidence to destroy her. Affair, deception, hidden pregnancy, financial fraud from using our joint account. But I was not ready to confront her. Not yet. No. I wanted her to confess. I wanted to look her in the eye and hear her lie to me while knowing everything. I wanted her to dig her grave, and then I would bury her with the truth. I began drafting emails. One to our lawyer. One to our joint account manager. One to Andre's biggest business rival, a real estate investor I had met during a consulting pitch last year. If I was going to go down, I would take them both with me. Because betrayal is not a storm you walk away from. It is a fire you let burn everything, until you decide what rises from the ashes. I waited for the perfect moment. 3 months had passed since I first watched Carla disappear into that apartment. 3 months of deception, documentation, and detachment. I no longer felt like her husband. I felt like her shadow. The man behind the curtain, watching her carefully scripted play unravel scene by scene. But it was time for the show to end. I made dinner that Sunday evening. Her favorite grilled salmon, lemon risotto, and a bottle of Merlot. I dimmed the lights, played soft instrumental jazz. She walked in, looked surprised, and smiled. "Is this for something special?" she asked. I smiled and kissed her cheek. Just felt like spoiling my wife. We sat. We ate. We talked about nothing. Small talk and shallow laughs. She never suspected that the table we dined on held a USB drive taped to its underside, containing 43 video clips, 200 screenshots, and full PDF scans of journal pages, bank transactions, and the ultrasound. After dessert, I handed her a handwritten card. She opened it. Inside, I had written 4 words. "I know everything, Carla." She blinked, confused. Then she laughed nervously. "What is this?" she asked. I stood and walked to the TV, inserted the USB, and hit play. The footage began rolling. The camera inside the loft. The dinner with Andre. The kiss. The undressing. The whispers. Her face collapsed into horror. "No. Matt. Wait. Please. I can." But I held up a hand. "Do not speak. Not yet." She dropped to the floor, shaking. Her wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered. The next video showed her journal pages. Her writing. Her words. Her love for Andre. Her confession of the pregnancy. She covered her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears. Still, I said nothing. I wanted her to feel every second of it. Eventually, she crawled forward, sobbing. "I never meant to hurt you," she said. "I swear to God, I was lost. You were never home." I felt alone. Andre made me feel seen. I watched her closely. "How long?" I asked. She wiped her eyes. 10 months. I nodded slowly. "And the child?" She hesitated, then whispered, "It is his." Something inside me broke for good. Not because she was pregnant, but because she had decided I was not even worth knowing. She had erased me from her future and never looked back. I told her to pack her things and leave the house by morning. She begged. She said she would end things with Andre, that she would go to therapy, that she would cut ties and stay for us. But there was no us anymore. She had not just stepped outside the marriage. She had built another one in secret and started a family. She had made her choice. And now it was time for me to make mine. I filed for divorce that Monday morning, on grounds of adultery, financial misconduct, and emotional cruelty. I attached the footage, the documents, the journals. My lawyer said it was the cleanest case he had seen in years. Carla's face was drained of all color when she received the summons. I froze all joint accounts. I sent the footage anonymously to her top 3 clients, the ones who valued discretion and moral image. 2 dropped her within 48 hours. Her design firm revoked her freelance access. But I was not done. I emailed the USB footage to Andre's corporate office. Not just the affair, but the financial statements showing him helping Carla use my funds for rent. His board suspended his project. One of his investors pulled out. It was poetic justice. He lost $500,000 and a pending merger within a week. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Carla's sister, Rachel. We had always been close, but never more than family. She asked if I was free for lunch. We met at a small cafe near the pier. Rachel looked exhausted, furious, and disgusted. "She told me everything," she said. "And she is blaming you." I raised an eyebrow. Rachel continued. "She said you were cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable. But I know that is bull. You loved her more than she ever deserved." I did not speak. Then Rachel leaned in and dropped the bomb. "You should know something. That pregnancy? She ended it." I blinked. "What?" She nodded. "She never told Andre. She was terrified of raising the child without your support. So, she scheduled a quiet termination the week you confronted her." My heart sank. Even after all the chaos, I had never expected her to make such a final, irreversible decision. Not because of the act itself, but because of the lies layered beneath it. Even in destruction, she had chosen to do it alone. I sold the house. I left Seattle for 6 months. Traveled through Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. I saw canyons, deserts, and stars that looked too pure for someone as scarred as me. I started therapy. I joined a men's support group for betrayed partners. I cried once, in front of strangers, and it was the most healing thing I had done in years. Eventually, I returned to Tacoma, bought a small home, got a dog, learned to cook better than salmon and risotto. And one day, while walking through a bookstore, I bumped into someone. Her name was Sophie, a nurse, a widow, honest, clear-eyed, and kind. We started having coffee, then dinner, then conversations about healing, not promises. I told her everything early on. And instead of judging me, she said, "You did not lose yourself in the fire. You walked through it. Some betrayals do not come with blood or bruises. Some come with lipstick-stained collars, erased voicemails, and apartment keys hidden under throw pillows." My wife had a secret apartment, and a secret boyfriend. But more than that, she had a secret self. One she never allowed me to know. And when that mask finally slipped, I realized what she gave to him was never stolen from me. It was never mine to begin with. She simply wore a mask that fit my dream, and I was too in love to see the cracks.